Hello, my name is Katie Poole, a San Joaquin County analyst with the Employment and Economic Development Department at WorkNet. This is a tutorial for the Round 4 online application of the Small Business Assistance Grant. Thanks for joining us today. So the first thing we are going to do is go to our login and go to sjgov.org. That's our main San Joaquin County website. You'll go below this search bar in the middle, below the COVID-19 information banner, to the business box. Within the business box, there's a section marked Small Business Assistance Grants. Click here. At the very top, you'll see our Family COVID Assistance Grant. You'll want to scroll that down past the information items, to the Small Business Assistance Grant Round 4. There's some brief information here about the grant, and you'll want to click Apply here to start your application. If you have any questions through the course of your application, please send us an email at smallbusinessgrantquestions@sjgov.org. We are replying within 24 hours or less. So click Apply here. If you've not entered anything before, if you've never registered for this, then you will want to register now. You'll enter your first name, last name, your email, and choose the user type. Either you're the applicant or you're a representative for the applicant, and then you will register. An email will go to the password that you used for registration, and we'll have a link for you to follow to create a password. Once you've created that password, you'll go back to your login screen and enter your email and your password. If you ever forget your password, use the Forgot Your Password button, and then you can log in. If any sort of errors appear, go over here to the top three buttons, the three buttons in a line, and you can go to Settings, Privacy and Security on the left-hand side. Under Privacy and Security in the middle, Clear Browsing History, and you can choose last hour, 24 days, 7 days, 4 weeks, or all time. I usually do 24 hours. And then you'll choose Clear Data. I've already done this recently, so I'm not going to do it. Now, if you won't see this page first. This is after you've already started an application. So let's say you just logged in. This is the very first thing you will see. And it'll say stop before proceeding through the application. Please select the correct business owner model. Note as you proceed through the application, please review each screen and fill in all required criteria. If you're having an issue with display, try clearing your cache or going into Chrome web browser. So I'm currently in Chrome from a laptop computer. You can also do a desktop computer. Do not access this from a mobile or cell phone device or an iPad. It's not going to work efficiently. Chrome is the preferred web browser, but you can also use Firefox or Microsoft Edge. Just make sure you're updated to the most current version of your web browser. Now you will choose if you're a business rental and utilities and PPE or a business mortgage, utilities and PPE. For business mortgage, this means that you own the physical property that your business operates out of, and you either make payments to a bank or mortgage, or you just own it outright. So if you don't have any monthly payments you have to make anymore, but you own your property outright, you would still select business mortgage, utilities, and PPE. If you rent your property and you have a lease or rental agreement with a landlord or property management, or you pay rent from the business to a separate account for a business property you own, you would select business rental. This also includes rental expenditures for food trucks that may be stored in a commissary overnight. And then you'll click Next. Then you'll be entered into our pre-eligibility screen. These have some required points and information items for you to read over to make sure that you qualify for the grant. And the first top lets you know why we're starting this. To mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses and their employees, the County of San Joaquin has authorized a 4th round of funding for the Small Business Assistance Grant Program. The objective of this program is to offer immediate financial assistance to small businesses located in San Joaquin County to address expenses for rent, lease, mortgage, utilities, or reimbursement of personal protective equipment, PPE, for businesses who suffered financial harm caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Grants are for qualified small businesses in San Joaquin County that have incurred financial harm due to the COVID-19 pandemic. First-time applicants may seek reimbursement to cover expenditures incurred between March 1st, 2020 and the date of the grant application. Applicants who previously received funding from the San Joaquin County may apply for reimbursement of expenditures that occurred after January 31st, 2021. Grants will be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis as long as funding is available. Grants are limited to expenditures for rent, lease, mortgage, utilities, or personal protective equipment, PPE. Utilities include electricity, natural gas, propane, water, sewer, garbage, internet, and phone. In addition, unpaid past due lease, mortgage payments, or utility payments in specified circumstances may now be funded by the grant. PPE definition has been expanded to include the costs associated with making modifications to accommodate COVID-19 restrictions. This is tents, plexiglass barriers, translucent dividers, heaters, and more. The county will make the final determination on submitted itemized receipts on whether they qualify as PPE for terms of this grant. You can see that this little red asterisk indicates required fields. This means you have to complete this field in order to continue with the application. The first one is, do you rent your business place? You have to answer yes in order to continue with the application. Then select a preferred language. This is what we will communicate with you in English or in email communications. And if we have someone who is able to speak your language, we will have your case assigned to that speaker. Currently, we have speakers who speak Spanish, Urdu, Punjabi, and English. Does this business operate in San Joaquin County? The applicant must have to operate out of a physical commercial storefront or a residence that is open to the public for normal business operations, or a residence while conducting work at other locations in the county, such as a plumber landscaper within the boundaries of San Joaquin County. And you will have to answer yes to continue with this. Select your geographical area. The only geographical area available is San Joaquin County. If you don't operate in San Joaquin County, you're not eligible for this grant. Do you have an active business license? All applicants must be in good standing with San Joaquin County or the applicable city within San Joaquin County. So you do have to have a current active business license. Mark yes or equivalent. Number of employees. This is where you'll put either just yourself, or maybe you have quite a number of employees. You'll want to enter that here. You do have to have 100 or less full-time employees. Are you an independent healthcare provider or healthcare clinician who has primary residence in San Joaquin County? If this applies to you, click yes, otherwise leave it as no. Can you provide sufficient documentation of unfunded expenditures due directly or indirectly related to COVID-19? For this, you will want to mark yes if you have those indirect expenditures or direct expenditures, because that is the purpose of this grant. If you mark no, you're not eligible because there's no expenditures you're asking for. Is the business or the applicant delinquent on any federal taxes, direct or guaranteed federal loans, federal contracts, or federal grants? If this is applicable, click yes. Have you received a small business grant from any of the previous San Joaquin County Small Business Assistance Grant rounds? If you have, please mark yes, otherwise leave it as no. Did your business have less gross revenue in 2020 or 2021 than in 2019 and can demonstrate this with tax documents or profit and loss statements? This needs to be yes as well in order to continue. So you'll see this green box pop up when you've successfully completed a section, and you will also see that this now is a check mark instead of a yellow exclamation point inside of a triangle. So you can go, it automatically takes you to the address screen. I'm going to enter our new location for our WorkNet building, which we will be opening soon. And I'm entering it kind of funky on purpose, not that funky, because I want to show you what our system does. And if you have a different mailing address than the physical address, please enter it here as well. Then you will click Save, and this is actually connected to the United States Postal Service zip code lookup, and so they will suggest an address based off of what you've put in. Please use their suggested address and click Save as long as it actually matches your address. And then you can click Next. You see that green box appeared up here in the upper right. Now you'll need to add the business owner's information. You'll click on Add Details. The business owner's name needs to go here, and their phone number, Let's just enter ours. I think things look nicer when they have an actual number in there. So if this is a sole proprietor or there is a single business owner for the property, you will enter their first and last name and their social security number that the business operates under. If they do not operate under a social security name and they have an employee tax ID, you'll click I am not providing social security number and you'll enter the tax ID instead. This is typically a 9-digit code. And then you can enter the board member's name, the CEO's name, somebody who is the main contact, and then you'll enter your information if you're filling it out for the business here. Then you'll enter the date of birth of the person who you're putting here and their gender, race, and ethnicity. Then you can select if they're their disabled status and if they've ever served in the military. All of these demographic informations help us direct you to other things that you might qualify for within the state, county, federal, to assist you with your business needs. It also helps us know what other programs might be beneficial to bringing into our county. And then once you're completed, again, you'll hit save. Applicants must be above 18 years old. So it'll let you know what happened that you did incorrectly. Let's just enter a date of birth. And when I hit tab, you can see it corrected everything. But if you don't enter something correctly, let's say you enter this instead, it's not going to fill in correctly in the box. So it does have to be a 2-digit month, 2-digit day. So even if it's 01, and then it has to be a 4-digit year that is entered. And then you'll hit save. And now to say record saved successfully. And close. And then you can go on to the next screen. If you end up needing to edit anything, you can use this little pencil, click on it, and it'll go back into that and you can edit the fields. The only one that is not editable is the email address, and that is because you've already linked the application to this address. Then you can click next and you'll enter your business information. So the name of the business will go here, how many business locations you have, and this is with in San Joaquin County that you're applying for. Is your business for-profit or non-profit? How much is your monthly rent? What is your operation type? Are you a food truck? Are you commercial? Do you operate out of your home? Are you agricultural or other? The rest of this is not required to be filled out, but it does help our auditors complete your application more quickly, especially if you're requesting unpaid or past due rent. This makes it very easy for us to reach out to the landlord for any verifications we might need from them. Once you're done filling everything out, again, you'll hit save. And you can see as I've gone along, all of these blue check marks show up on the right side, or on the left side. And with each save, it should say success, record saved successfully if you were successful. So then the next screen is going to be payments requested for rent. We do not cover security deposit. We're having this removed by the third party that oversees this website for us. So please don't enter anything here. We will have our auditors will have to go in and zero out anything that is entered here because this grant does not cover security deposit. So past due rent, it will go here, and rent reimbursement will go under rent reimbursement. So let's say you have 2 months of past due rent. So first you'll enter the amount for your 2 months. That should equal the amount of rent that was on your previous page. And then you'll want to hit save. Then this will pop up saying click here to add breakdown of past due rent. You will click on that and select the year that you're asking for and the months that you're asking for help with paying rent. And then you can enter how much it was for each month that you need assistance with your rent. As you enter things here, you can see this number where it says pending amount goes down or up. depending on what you enter. So if I enter 5,000, it'll say negative because does not match at all what I entered previously. So if you put an extra zero in there, it'll let you know. So your total amount should always match your amount at the top here, and the number of months columns should always match what you have here as well. And then you can click Save. And see what I did here is I accidentally put April and April. So this needs to be March. So I can't put in 2 of the same months in the same section, and hit Save. And now my record is saved successfully and I can close it. I'm not done here though, because you can see it says document required. So I need to choose a file. And for this, we would recommend a tenant statement or a bank statement showing the months that you paid, or both. So you can open that and it'll automatically load. And let's say I also have a bank statement to match my tenant statement. Except for this is past due rent, not rent reimbursement. So let me delete that. So to show you what a tenant statement looks like, something very simple like this that has the information of the landlord, the information of the tenant, and what each month that is still owed is. You'd also have to have the backup document of the rental agreement and the landlord participation form and the landlord's W-9 in order for this to be completely accepted. Now let's say on top of that, if you were done and you only had past due rent, you'd just click Next. If you also have months of rent reimbursement for which you've paid, you would enter that here as well. And it would follow the same format where you would enter the amount of months, and then you would hit Save. You would do the breakdown for all of those months, and then you would choose the file to match, and this is where you would want to choose the bank statement. And you can click Next. Then that brings us to the utility payment requested. This screen is where you'll enter all your utilities and your PPE reimbursement that is either past due or that you need to be reimbursed for. Of course, PPE reimbursement is only for PPE items already bought. So if you have PG&E, for example, you could put PG&E in either electric or gas. Either one is fine. The reason we broke this down is because some people pay electric through their city and some people pay gas through PG&E or vice versa. So if you need to select, let's say you pay electric through your city, you could use the electric column for your city bill of utilities, and then you can use PG&E for your gas bill on utilities. So you could enter it here. Let's say your amount was $500. Then you would choose your file, and it could be something like this. This is either the monthly statement that you get. There's also a yearly statement that you can get from PG&E directly from your web online account. And it'll show all of the months that you made payments for and what was charged by PG&E. And what we go for ones that are actual payments is more the payment date. So just keep that in mind. We do need to have proof backing up that you've actually paid if you're requesting reimbursement. And then if you owed, just the monthly bill would be fine as well. So for PPE reimbursement, you do need to provide itemized receipts. So if you went to Costco and you bought masks and cleaning supplies and other things like that that are qualified for PPE, you'd want to keep that receipt and you'd want to upload that receipt here. We would not be able to accept a credit card statement that says you went to Costco and spent $500 because we wouldn't be able to verify what that $500 at Costco was spent on. Then the other column is left for you here, just in case there was something additional that you wanted to put in that somehow didn't fit here and you felt was still a utility. Then you would save, and I didn't have anything here to save, so of course it's saying nothing. And let's say you didn't have any utilities and you only wanted that payment for your rent. That's fine. You can put in only what you're asking for. Then the next section is your documents. You will need to download this COVID harm document by clicking on that text that highlighted, and then clicking here for the landlord participation form if you are requesting past due rent. Then you'll click down this little arrow next to the word incomplete, and you'll start uploading all the required documents. You've made it this far, you're almost done. So your W-9 is required, and this is for all businesses, even nonprofits, because this is how you are paid. It's not how you're taxed. So if you go here and you go to W-9, you find your W-9 that you already have in a file, hopefully, and I'm going to show you what this should look like. So it should be the Form W-9 revised October 2018 in this upper corner right here. Then you will be putting the business name here. If you have a business name and then a doing business as, typically the doing business as goes on this second line. You will need to enter yours exactly as it is for your tax documents. So however you received your EIN number, if you have that, or however you file for taxes is how you want to fill out your W-9. Then you'll check the appropriate box in section 3, and you'll put in your address. And if you are listing an account number or an additional requester's name, you can put it there. Part 1 is your tax identification number, which will either be your social security number or the actual employer identification number of your business. Then under Part 2 certification, this is where you must sign. It does have to be a signature that looks handwritten. And you do need to make sure that it's dated within the last year. We cannot accept any W-9s that are dated more than a year ago. Then for identification, this can be a current driver's license, a current ID. You'll upload that. And then your lease document. If you have a rent agreement, you'll upload that. If it's mortgage on the other side, this can be your mortgage statement from the bank on the bank copy. Letterhead. Then your profit and loss statement or your Schedule C. And then you will need to provide your profit and loss statement or Schedule C for each period of time you're applying for on your COVID-19 harm worksheet. And I'll go over that at the end. Your current business license. If you are in the process of getting your business license, this is where you'd also put the receipt. We won't be able to approve your application if you're eligible for approval until we have this current business license or equivalent. And you can see it goes back up to the top after every time I download. So you will have to remember to scroll back down. Business start date. This is proof that the business was in existence prior to January 1st, 2020. This can be an expired business license. This can be bank statements for the business. This can be a rental or lease agreement, mortgage agreement for the business. So not a home mortgage would not provide proof that the business was in existence. So it has to be all tied to the business. Your full-time employee count. This can be an employee roster or a payroll form or a schedule. Or if you're a sole proprietor, you can list a statement. You can just upload a statement saying, I am the sole proprietor and only employee. And you are signing this whole entire application under penalty of perjury that everything you're providing is true and correct. Then even though it doesn't have a red asterisk next to it, it is required for you to provide this COVID-19 harm worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and upload. And for this one, I'm uploading 2, and I'll show you why in just a second as well. So the landlord participation form is required if you are requesting past due rent to be paid to your landlord. So I'm including that. And then other leaves it open for anything else that you feel adds some needs to your case. So you can put that in here as well. And then you would hit next. And it would let you know if there's any steps that are left to be pending. And you can go back in here. The full-time employee count. I forgot to upload a file, see? So it reminds you. So for this one, I just did a employee roster. And now we can save it, or we can go next. And now, as soon as you're done, you have all checks. This should automatically pop up when you go to submit. And if you have a touch screen, you can sign it with your finger. Otherwise, you'll have to do it with your mouse. And I'm going to do it kind of funky here. It's not going to look pretty. And then you'll do your initials. Let's make it look like a K, huh? And then you'll save your signature. After you do that, a pop-up should appear that has a declaration under penalty and perjury that you're signing this. And then you will have to click here to sign, click here to add date, and then you will do it a second time. Then when you're done with that, this will go to be clickable. So if you haven't done this, this will be grayed out and you won't be able to click in it. So that means you missed one of these signature date spots. And so you want to go back and put those in, and then you can click, I hereby declare that the information furnished within this application is true, complete, and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. And you will hit submit. That will then send the application on to us, and you'll get your case number here. So that is your case number for your application. And it will say your application's name. It will say if you are assigned to a caseworker, which at first you will not be. It'll be an unassigned case until it comes over to us. It'll say when you submitted it, if there's any updates that you've done to it, it'll go here. And then it has your digital signatures that you provided. That's it. Your case is now submitted. You can click up here on Home to go to this main home screen. So if you needed to create a different application, for instance, if you have multiple businesses that all have separate tax identification numbers, then this is where you could create a new application. Especially if you are applying on behalf of someone, you could do the new application. What I do suggest is if you're applying on behalf, to create a username and password linked to their email addresses, and just creating an individual application instead of having multiple applications here all under your name. That can make it a little confusing for our auditors, and it can slow down the process of your applications. And then in the upper right-hand corner, if you prefer a different language to view the screen in, you can view it here, and just click on one of these and it'll change to your appropriate language. Sometimes that makes it easier to go through certain screens. And then here is where you would change your password or log out. And then, as I said, this is where you'd also look at your applications. So this will show that your application has a case number. That's when you know it's submitted. So case status is that you've applied. As it's being worked through, it'll change to in progress. And once it's finally approved, and every time it's updated, it'll update here. Once it's approved, it'll show here. And you can continuously log in through the process and check in here for status updates to see exactly where your application is at. If you have any questions following this tutorial, please send us an email to smallbusinessgrantquestions@sjgov.org. As your case is assigned to an auditor, they'll be reaching out to you directly for any needs they have to update your application through email. And if need be, they will also call you. Each of them will have a direct phone line that you'll be able to reach out to them directly once assigned. Thanks so much for taking the time to walk through this today. We know it's more time consuming than it has been in the past, but we're hopeful that because of that, things will be gone through more quickly. Thank you.